Can you see my breath? It's cold. The thermometer says 37 degrees at the house, but it's sure to be colder out in the field. It's cold. Hi, I'm Pete, and welcome to Just a Few Acres Farm. You know my wife, Hillary. Today's a big day. The bulls are going to go back out, and we're going to figure out who's the dominant bull for this year. Yeah, but first we got to move the chickens. It's crunchy. Oh, it'll run. Kind of. Leaves on the trees are really starting to change. It's very pretty.
The ground still feels really dry.
It is dry. They're pretty hesitant today. Maybe we'll just stay inside and watch Oprah today. It's kind of cold out here. Good morning, ladies. You're going back out today, Orden. You're all going back out today. Yeah? Hey, little one. And Coco. Orden knows today's the day. Yeah, he don't want to pay attention to me. This happens when one of the heifers is in heat across the way. You don't need much hay. You're not going to be in here very long. Yeah, that's right. Ladies are outside. This is a really big day on the farm. It's kind of similar to the day we first let the cattle out on pasture in the spring when we put the bulls back together. And just like any big event on the farm, it involves a whole bunch of steps. Step one was to reconnect this temporary fence that runs off and isolates the woods field over here, which has a nice crop of grass in it. They haven't been in here in a while. from the chicken field over here. Somebody knows that something's going on. Titus, you are looking good after 6 weeks out on pasture. He says thank you. I gotta go get your mates. They're down here in the middle field right in here. Here they are. Come on, cows! Their heads all popped up. Come on, cows! Let's go to a new field. Here they come. Dolly, it looks like you've been eating good. You're a barrel. Look at the gut on her. You've been eating pretty good. Yeah, you have. They probably know where they're going to as well. Well, come on, you stragglers. This is my temporary permanent gate. We're gonna fix that this fall. All right, guys. Go out and get something to eat. We're gonna mess around here for a little while. Oh, I guess you're not going to. This is the gate to the winter pasture. All right, guys. They're coming in, but there's nothing to eat in here. It's just dirt. So they can explore the space for a while. Hillary and I got the new fence put up. Dives back in there, comes around. So at least it's enclosed. We got a lot more work to do around the fabric fence and things, but we haven't gotten to it yet. You're running around like goofballs. Hey, there's nothing to eat in here. So all I need to do is come up here and open the door, and out comes Orden and the other cows. They know. Here we go. Come on, guys. You don't have to ask them twice. Orden's still in there. Are you gonna come out, buddy? He's a little nervous, I think. Come on, guys. Orden? Let's go, bud. You gotta go out. Come on. You gotta go out. There he goes. Well, we can close this back up. Nobody's going inside for a while. Old buddies. Everybody's coming to watch. Here's the deal. This is a natural event. I'm sure you've all seen documentaries where stags and bucks are doing this in the wild. When you get two males together, they have to figure out who's the boss, and this happens every year on our farm. The reason they do it is because when we first put the cows out on pasture in the spring, in April or May, we keep the bulls in the barn so they don't breed the cows too early, so we can stay on our yearly calving schedule of having calves in May and June. So the bulls stay in the barn, and then we separate the herd in late August. We pick who goes with each bull in terms of cows to be bred. We leave them apart for 6 weeks while the breeding season happens, and then we bring them back together. And now the whole herd, except for the 3 heifers in the other pasture, stay together for the rest of the year, so they won't split up again after this, right through the winter. And I'm hoping I can get them out of here and into the field sooner rather than later. But when these guys are doing this, you really can't do much to move them. They just have to figure it out. I think it's a fairly even match, honestly. And it's pretty tame compared to what happens in the wild, where sometimes, you know, it's mortal injury. Not with these guys. They may get a little bruise on their head or, you know, a little red spot. They settle their differences in a few hours, and then the pecking order pretty much stays that way through the year. And Titus, I think, is 11 years old. Orden's 9. So these guys, they ain't like it used to be, where they would go at it harder. They've done it so many times, they understand. I'm going to be living with this guy for the rest of the year, so we're just going to settle our differences and move on. Hey, at least the rest of them have figured out where the grass is. Here they all go. They're heading out to eat. Hopefully the bulls will follow them. Well, maybe they are. Calves don't know what to do. I guess it's a sign of the times, but I've done this video every year now for 6 years, and I would always get complaints that it was somehow animal cruelty because people are so unaware of the way things work in the wild now. It's not animal cruelty, it's actually the way animals establish their own peace. And it happens all up and down the line. See? Those 2 calves are doing it over there. They're only 5 months old. Everybody does it. Cows, calves, steers, heifers. Look at Patty. Patty, what happened? Are you saving that for later? Yeah, I'll do it. Here's 2 cows doing it. It's just an opportunity for them to reaffirm where they are in herd standing. I really can't tell who's winning. It's that close. That was a good push. Resting break. Orden's been on top for a year now. Titus always was before that. Who do you want to win?
I think I want Titus back on top.
I would like to have Titus back on top too. He's kind of the nicer bull, and he's been down for a year, so I don't know. There's nothing we can do about it.
No.
We'll just have to wait and see how it works out. Kind of looks like a stalemate to me. Both tired. If a parsley farmer gets sued, did you hear that? Parsley farmer sued. Can they garnish his wages? We gotta have something to do while we're standing here watching the cattle. Sometimes they look like they're gonna move out, and then they go back in. Calves are duking it out over there. Bulls are still at it. Look at those two calves. One of them was in the barn, one of them was out in the pasture. Of course, in nature, those stags and bucks that I mentioned, they're fighting for breeding rights in territory. The cows are all bred. When we divided the bulls, they each bred some cows. So now it's just kind of who's in charge of the herd, along with Patty. Patty over there, she has an unfair advantage. She's the only one with horns, and she wins the contest every year. She stays the boss. Now, Titus was the one that's been on pasture for the last 6 weeks, and I do think that gives him an advantage, mostly because he's gotten the exercise walking around. While we wait to see who wins the bull dominance contest, we're going to do some work out here in the chicken pasture. We've been done with broilers for about 3 weeks now, so it's time to take things down for the winter. Huh, the bulls have left the winter pasture. Come on, you stragglers. It's time to leave. Come on. Let's go, 2306. This way. I know you calves are squirrely. You gotta go that way. Come on. Go. You too, 2404. Head them out. I'm gonna close this up. Winter pasture is now off limits until they come in for the winter. That's gonna be a while. We got quite a good bit of grass left here. Here's how you roll up electronet fencing. That's this stuff. Of course, you see Hillary and I gather it and we loop it like this with all the posts at one end. If you want to undo it easily or unroll it easily come spring, you roll it like this with all the posts together. And then you can just unroll it and find the end post easily next time you want to use it because they're all together. Just like tying your shoes in kindergarten. We always put the drinkers in the barn for the winter too. What's going on here?
I don't know.
These go into the official drinker storage area in the barn. By the vine. Fence goes upstairs in the garage. Any job which doesn't take at least 2 tractors to get done is not worth doing. You can quote me on that. I think we've been here before. lids get weighted down so the winter wind doesn't blow them off. And the dolly goes right under here to keep it till next spring. And with that, the chicken pasture is cleaned up, at least the broiler section. We're going to be doing stew hens next week, and by the end of this month, the hens will be back in the winter house. The two bulls are walking toward the herd, muttering all the way, like old men. And for the first year ever, they're both with the herd. Well, I'm not sure they're both with the herd. They walked right through, and Titus back here is tailing Orden, and they're going off to be by themselves. Orden, you got the usual red mark on your head. You do. Always in the past, there's been a clear winner to the bull competition, and it's very easy to see. One bull winds up amongst the herd, and one bull's off skulking someplace, kind of miserable and crying for a few days till they kind of come back around. I like to think of our two bulls as two grumpy old men, like Walter Matthau and Jack Lemmon, who over the years have realized, why are we fighting? If we get along, things are much easier. That doesn't happen in the animal world very often, so I have my doubts. One's got to wind up being the leader. I think it may be Titus by a hair, because he was following Orden, and Orden's walking off that way over the hill. Yup. There he goes. I think Titus won the competition. And Orden's on the outs. To finish out this video, I wanted to bring you up to speed on projects and the order of things. I've got a lot of balls in the air with things that I've started around the farm. Hillary and my first priority is to get the stew chickens butchered, clean out the winter house so we can bring the layers in for the winter, finish the fence in the winter pasture. I've got standoffs to put on the woven wire fence, and we've got another length of fence to erect out there. The field that I started on in the last video, I'm just waiting for weather on that, and it will probably be November before I get to it. So those outdoor things are really what's taking precedence right now. There is movement on this truck. I talked to the machinist yesterday. He got the block board out, knows the size of the pistons that are needed. He sent one of the old pistons to a company in California that's going to forge new pistons for it to the new bore size. He said that that's about a 5-week lead time, so I'm thinking around the end of the year I'll get that back, because it's, you know, it's always longer than you expect to get it back. I've got all the bearings for it, cam, main, rods, piston pin bushings, he's taken care of. Everything's coming together. I got a rebuild kit for the carburetor, etc., etc. I'm collecting together everything. I'll put the engine back together in my shop when I get it back and get that all ready to go. Meanwhile, this truck's going to get pulled out into the field so the tree doesn't litter all over it and all that, and it's going to sit out there. No, I'm not pressure washing it until I have things ready to go in. I like the way it looks actually with the moss growing on it, but that's just me. The Farm All 856 is kind of down the priority list quite a ways. Probably in the snow of winter I'll get back to working on that, but as long as I can work outside here, I have more projects in addition to the ones I just told you about that I need to get done. So if we have a winter like last winter where we only get one snowfall that's deep enough for me to actually plow the driveway, I may be out here working quite a bit into the winter, and that's where we stand. Lots more to come. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I'll see you next time.